mains and Yasuo mains alike. I'm the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. So, I hope you guys had a great Christmas or Kwanzaa or whatever you guys prefer to, celebrate. I hope you guys got whatever you wanted. I also hope that you guys had a great holiday season so far, spamming all the way at least back up until Halloween. Obviously, the holiday season for me literally starts on Halloween because it goes so fast, and I'm already prepping Christmas presents and holiday, gifts, way in advance, obviously, because that's just how my pay schedule works at work. So I have to kind of, schedule that stuff way in advance, or I'm gonna be like crazy going nuts last minute to get somebody a gift. But so it's like something that we obviously can see what's gonna happen with League of Legends moving forward. And the most interesting thing about League of Legends is that before a new season starts, we actually get what is called narratives and a lot of stories that go into the season, because a lot of players change teams, a lot of players switch rosters for a lot of reasons, and people want to follow those stories throughout the year. Now, the most interesting LCS stories to watch in 2020. The landscape of North American League of Legends has changed once again. So, what are your guys' favorite stories to watch in this LCS season? Before I actually read this article, my favorite story to watch in the LCS this season, or, well, relatively this split, because I think that each split has its own narrative, because there's different things that apply, because what is going to apply in spring is not really going to, obviously, apply to summer. But if you want to just calculate it as a whole and see where it or goes, then I guess you can just kind of consider that, the entire year altogether. But let's see. The one story that I'm really interested in is actually Cloud9 and how they're going to actually function without Sneaky. I know that I have really been super critical of both parties about, Sneaky and Cloud9, and obviously having the decision to obviously move on from Sneaky. I think it's still personally fine, from my own personal opinion. I think that when you look at, just how Cloud9 have been over the years, you just kind of factor in, he's been on the roster for 7 years, guys, and I personally want to change. Now, this change can either be a really good thing or a really bad thing, but I still respect the decision alone to change something, as we know it was not working before. So that's my most interesting storyline, is can C9 finally acquire their title after having a 6-year drought of not getting a trophy? And it would be pretty good to shut up some haters and obviously make sure they can shut the hell up about, this big giant Cloud9 off-season move. And it would be one of the more better satisfying stories and more of a happy ending to see that Cloud9 would have bounced back from obviously letting Sneaky go in favor of Sven, and kind of letting him go is kind of a stretch because he's still playing under the Cloud9 banner. He actually, on his YouTube channel, still has a Cloud9 intro and outro. So yeah, some team you're not a part of, and that's just how situations go. But nevertheless, let's go over some of these articles. Another year, another hectic offseason for the North American League of Legends competitive scene. Many familiar faces have moved on to different teams, while plenty of new faces have joined the fray across the sea from Europe, Korea, and beyond. As teams finalize their rosters for the next year, exciting storylines have emerged from the new lineups that many of these teams have assembled for. From veterans leaving their longtime home to rookies making their professional debut, the LCS looks completely different as we head into Season 10. Here are some of the stories fans should keep their eyes on when the LCS 2020 spring split begins. Whoo! Dardoch gives TSM a shot. I said that wrong. TSM gives Dardoch a shot. Actually, they wanted Xmithy, but they couldn't get Xmithy because they obviously knew after a bit of time Xmithy was going to actually go to Immortals, so that's when they ended up getting Dardoch. They didn't want to get Dardoch first. That's going to be an issue moving forward to a lot of other things, but we'll see how it pans out later on, during the year. So, first one is TSM gives Dardoch a shot. Whenever people thought about the apex of the NA competitive scene, usually the first team to come to mind was TSM. These past 2 years, however, have been some of the worst in the team's history. They have failed to make it to Worlds 2 years in a row and haven't won the LCS championship in that period either. The majority of TSM's roster moves have ended in failure, but this time looks a bit more promising. The team has opted in finally starting jungler Dardoch while also having picked up AD carry Kabe and support Biofrost. Dardoch has been on multiple rosters throughout his career, and most of them have ended poorly. From strategic differences to internal issues, this talented but outspoken jungler is getting another shot at greatness after a few years of disappointment. This is the best looking roster he's ever been a part of, so this could be his chance to prove the world that he can still be a top tier jungler on a top 3 team in the region. Whew, yeah, so Dardoch obviously moving to TSM, as I've already talked about before, is a good and bad thing. Because, you know, this is not just the last shot for Dardoch for maybe a top tier team. This is also kind of a last straw for TSM as well. A lot of the fans are pretty fed up about what they're doing right now and a lot of the decisions that they're making. So you got to factor in that, you know, if they're possibly not winning the split but getting second like they did before, that's not really a bad thing, in my own personal opinion. But I do believe that roster has the capabilities of winning North America. It just all goes but to show you, does Dardoch have what it takes to obviously play really good on this team compared to his Optic Academy last split performance, where he was just pretty much just running it through the jungle, doing absolutely nothing but just carrying them. But more or less so, TSM have always needed a player like Dardoch. I mean, it's having a player like him really does change things. But this is the issue with having Dardoch, is will that conflict with Bjergsen possibly having and being an owner of TSM? We'll see how it pans out. Will Dignitas regret signing Huni to a massive deal? If you're a Dignitas fan, the past few weeks have been rough to watch. Before the season ended, the team had 2 of the most promising young North American talents in Damonte and Vulcan. Now, they've reportedly signed Huni with a third of the team's budget and have had to scramble to find any players who will join their roster. Huni is a great top laner, but he is notorious for being one of the biggest coin flip players in the LCS. It didn't seem wise for the team to put so much of their budget into someone who could look decent one game and look horrible the next. The team did sign young solo queue star Johnson, but this can only go 2 ways. Either the 20-year-old rookie explodes into the scene and makes a name for himself, or he fizzles out quickly due to his inexperience. So, I remember when I first broke this story on the channel, and I was like, what the hell did I just freaking read? I read that somewhere along down the lines of not even doing content that specific day, Huni negotiated this contract of $2.3 million without a lawyer. And obviously, we've heard on a lot of podcasts that League of Legends players have agents or lawyers to dispute how much they're getting paid, how much, you always got to factor in working, and there's a lot of California laws to work. There's laws to working, obviously, and that same thing applies to the LCS. Obviously, it is considered a job when you're obviously putting in that many hours of work into your org, and the fact that someone can negotiate a $2.3 million deal without a lawyer or an agent goes to show you whoever is on Dignitas, and I'm sorry if this is your team, but your team is full of fucking idiots. Like, I'm sorry if I have to be too real for you to get you to understand what type of fucking retards your people are running this org. I like Dignitas. I've never actually hated them. I know they're a joke, but, like, I know Dignitas is a joke, but I didn't think they're this big a joke. Like, someone can negotiate that much money without a lawyer or an agent, and you give it to them. Like, they're literally spending $2.3 million just to get 5th place in the LCS. Because, good lord, I'm gonna tilt my brain just even thinking about this. But what I'm gonna say is, if Dignitas somehow does, I don't even think they're gonna get to the finals. Like, let's just say they get to semifinals, right? And let's say they lose to someone like TSM in a close, back and forth series, and then TSM goes to the finals after beating them, obviously. would that really be like worth it, honestly? Like this, let's just say if they got to semis and they got knocked out after that. Let's say if this is a team that explodes, like let's say this team gets first place. Now I know teams like them. They get first place for a bit. They are like 6-0. People are always questioning like, is this really a good team or are we just bad? They're that team. They're the team that will probably get like first place, be like 8-0 with like another random garbage team like Golden Guardians, and people are wondering, okay, are we really this bad or are this team this good? Then as you see much better teams get better, you're gonna start to see a lot of more better options boil off of these teams. Like their drafts will get better. They're starting to understand how they can beat these top two teams, and then you'll see the real better teams start to come along. And I think that's where they're going to head. Or they could completely just start at like 4th place and be 4th place. I mean, that's possible too. I think they are a playoff team to a certain extent, but we'll just have to see how it pans out, obviously. Alright, so let's go. Cloud9 breaks up the boys for 2020. We've entered a new era for Cloud9 fans around the world. No longer will we see the familiar faces of Sneaky, Zazel, in the bot lane, and a majority of the roster they built from the NA Academy is now gone too. In their place, they have brought in former TSM AD carries Sven and Vulcan in a lane where experience meets youth. It's hard to imagine Sneaky on the sidelines instead of Summoner's Rift, but failing to win anything besides the regional gauntlet since 2014 will make any changes the team obviously wants. Wait, hold on. The fuck did I just read? Oh my god, I was confusing the words here. I'm sorry about that, guys. It's hard to imagine Sneaky on the sidelines instead of on Summoner's Rift, but failing to win anything besides the regional gauntlet since 2014 will make any team want changes. Alright, sorry about that. Disregard what the hell I just said earlier. I read that wrong. Yes, this is what people don't seem to understand. I know it's not all his problem or his fault. I understand that. But look at it from an org perspective. They have not won anything in very long. It's just time for a change. I don't care if you like this person. I don't give a flat flying frickin' asshole what you like. What you like doesn't win championships. And it's very clear what you like does not win championships. I love Cloud9 to death, guys, but you know what I mean? If this proves anything, what you like doesn't win, okay? Like, I'm just telling you that. And if it does, it's probably when scenes are not developed or players aren't as good. There's a lot to go into that, obviously. But you have to factor in where all of this goes, you know, narratively. Is that, can Cloud9 win anything with this new roster? Now, I think that it's very unfair that a lot of them are going to have to be under such scrutiny because of how Sneaky left and just how much people are really going to want Cloud9 to fail when they've been the best performing NA org at Worlds for a very long time. But hey, it's all good at the end of the day. Let the haters hate. Just let them hate. It's whatever. It's not going to matter personally. If this is your team, stick with your team. If you were a fan of Sneaky, go be a fan of Sneaky on the team that's not there, obviously. Or you can just stick with this one that's obviously been successful. Or you could go to FlyQuest and be disappointed. That's what you could do. But I don't care what anybody does. I know what I'm going to do. And I'm sticking with them. And, you know, players leave orgs. Kobe, at one point, was going to leave the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like, LeBron left all of his teams. LeBron fans come over. But the people who are true fans of that team that LeBron was on still are a fan of those teams. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, it's traditional sports. It's blah, 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 blah. I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. Honestly, you know, I'm sticking with them. You know, this is an org. They get the players. They make what the players are internally. You know what I mean? I know Sneaky and the original Cloud9 members made Cloud9 what they are today. I understand that. But you factor in that's a two-way street as well. That's a two-way streak as well. Because remember, that org doesn't have to keep those players. Remember, Cloud9, back when they were formed, could have just kicked all of them. So it's always a two-way street when that happens. But will these roster moves be enough to bring results Cloud9 want in 2020? They still have top laner Licorice, but will he be able to lead this team to the promised land next year? We all know that Cloud9 are surely used to being doubted, and they always seem to prove the doubters wrong, but this is a completely different Cloud9 squad. Can they continue to carry on the classic Cloud9 spirit, or has that left along with the players they've lost this offseason? I don't think so. I think that you have to look at it from a different perspective. This is just a new squad. You know what I mean? And I'm fine with any squad they have, personally. I've never hated any of them. Except that Rush High squad. That was actually pretty weird. But I still grew to like it after a while because the wins came in, you know? If this team could win a split, I don't care what split they win. If they could just win a split, they will rectify a lot about what happened in the offseason. They will actually prove a lot of the haters wrong. And I think that when you look at towards this split going in, this is like a 3rd or 4th place team, which I think is fine considering how much talent they've lost. So, let's just see how much it's actually going to pan out. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but this is my most interesting storyline for the LCS 2020. It's can Cloud9, really make a difference this year in the LCS? Can the Bang Zeyzal bot lane work for Evil Geniuses? I think this one is not going to work, but that's just me personally. Evil Geniuses has built itself an interesting combination of talent for the next year, but one big question mark remains in the team's bot lane. Bang and Zeyzal look like a duel that will either be decent to watch or completely horrible. It all depends on how well they are able to build synergy before and during the up-and-coming 2020 spring split. Both players come from completely different competitive backgrounds and environments. Will Bang be able to adjust to a roster with no other Korean players? Can Zeyzal adapt successfully to a player that isn't sneaky? This lane is going to be crucial for the team's success and hopefully for EG fans. They are able to make things work before this next split begins. I think that this is, I don't really have a lot of words about this one. This kind of sums it all up. When I heard this was going to be a bot lane initially, I was like, what the fuck? Like, Zeyzal and Bang, are you serious? Like, is it that, like, that's not what's the word I would use? That's not a, good lord, what are the words I want to use, man? I was like, is this a roster where you swap out players? I was like, this is going to be a not confirmed official bot lane, right? This is a bot lane where you'll see if it works, right? And they're like, nope, this is our official. I was like, okay, your brand is built off winning. You're like, oh my goodness, we have this master plan to take over the North American LCS, and then your master plan is Zeyzal and Bang in bot lane. Oh great, yeah, real master plan you got there. Wink, wink, right? Real master plan you got there. Yeah. They'll find out this year that it's not really going to work. I think this is not going to work. I think this is like a 5th best bot lane, honestly. But, hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. Team Liquid look to dominate the LCS again with Broxah. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Former Fnatic player Broxah was considered to be one of the best junglers in the West, and now he's joining the best team in North America. There isn't much to say about how strong Liquid looks right now at a domestic level. The only question, however, is how strong this roster will be when it hits international play. Is Broxah the missing link, the final step that Liquid needs to finally break the dreaded group stage curse that has plagued them for the past 2 years? Can his various experience at Worlds help this team finally fulfill its destiny as North America's best team? So, can Broxah help TL dominate the LCS? I don't think that they'll be dominating initially when he first starts playing with them. I think that it's going to be a gradual progression to how better the overall roster could get. I think that they have a lot of room to grow as well, like just what the other teams do. You know, new rosters obviously have the chance to grow, but I think that when you look at basically everything else, you're looking at it from a perspective of how can they adapt to his playstyle like they did to Xmithie's. And I think that Xmithie's playstyle, despite what everybody has been saying, they really did play towards his playstyle. Like, he is not really a carry jungler, so they played like more or less so what a carry jungler isn't. You know, slow scaling, methodical, and I think that whatever style Broxah is playing considerably for the spring split, I think that most people will pretty much understand that you have to factor in where is this going to go. And I think the Team Liquid will dominate the LCS again. Is it possible that they win the finals? I'm not too sure yet, because they are. Let's be honest here. They won the last 4 splits in a row. So until they lose this next split coming up, I'm not gonna not put them in my #1 spot. That's just disrespectful. Like, how can someone be so stupid to think that they're not gonna win the split possibly when they've won the last 4? I don't care what happened in those other 4 splits, it still resulted in them winning. I hate when people do that. Oh, they only won, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that doesn't matter. Did they still win? Yes. You get conversation over. Done. Just done. They won the last 4 splits. Putting them not in your #1 pick is most likely considered trolling. But, hey, it is what it is. And then, where will NA talent go next year? To the dumpster. Probably. I don't know. Alright. One of the biggest disappointments this offseason has to be the amount of talented resident NA players that have been pushed aside for the new imports. Players like Damonte, Pole Belter, and even Sneaky are all not participating in the next LCS season. In fact, there is only one NA mid laner playing next season. Grayson, Golden Glue, Gilmer over on the Golden Guardians. They just had to put that in. Many people have criticized North American teams for their inability to scout and build up homegrown talent, and this season is a great example. For example, Damonte has shown so much growth and potential over the past year, only to get pushed to the wayside in 2020. It's a shame that teams aren't willing to help these talents grow and flourish, but hopefully for North American fans, they'll find a starting spot on a LCS roster soon. So, that also has made a lot of people mad, is that where can NA go with imports? So I think that this year is a clear-cut indication of how far imports can go personally. I think that if imports can work out the way most people are thinking that they're going to work out, then we'll keep the import thing going. But if it is going to... I mean, see, failure is such a... Oh, goodness gracious. Failure is such a weird thing to actually, like, debate about, because you have to kind of consider the nature of what's going on with imports and homegrown talent. It's not as easy to just pick out a solo queue player and then they just put them on a team. You just don't do that. Like, there's a lot that goes into this that most people just don't understand. But I think that when you look at everything else, you look at it from a perspective of, okay, this is just too much though. Like, I understand where people are coming from. This is a little bit too much, and I completely understand that, and that's completely fine. But you look at it from another perspective as well. You can't just take random people from academy teams and like collegiate and then just play them, because like that would possibly require you getting, you know, not a split win or basically looking like trash the whole year. So there's a lot that goes into it, but those are just the most interesting stories from the LCS this next past split. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing out.
Hi there guys, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.